Welcome along to episode 10 of the Film Man and the Film Fan. I'm your host, Brent, and I'm here with the owner of Matakana Cinemas. Dan, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, thank you.
Now, last time we discussed it's our 10th birthday, and I thought we could have some cake and some presents and things like that, Dan, but unfortunately we have no budget. So because we talk about movies, I thought maybe we should go to the special effects cupboard and just add something in. So Aidan, who puts the podcast together, has worked in film and television. So if we could have a cake, some balloons, some presents. Want a party hat?
Why not?
Yeah, let's have a party hat. Excellent. Oh, well, we've got the silly stuff out of the way. Bit of nonsense. Let's get underway with episode 10 of The Film Man and the Film Fan. Dan, a New Zealand film, The Tank. I saw the trailer for The Tank and I got very, very scared.
Did you get a bit sweaty?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not a horror guy, but for a New Zealand film, this looked incredible from the trailer. It looked really great.
Yeah. So back when I first heard the name,
Yeah.
The Tank, I thought, military.
Yeah, that's what I
A tank,
thought,
on wheels, on tracks. But no, it's about a silo type tank. And I really can't say much more because we're trying to keep it a little bit hush-hush. But what is really exciting about this film is that not only is it opening on June the 8th, and that's, very soon, because there haven't been many Kiwi films sort of bubbling around lately, but the director, Scott Walker, actually lives locally. He lives in Point Wales. Scott's super stoked to be able to come along on June the 8th at 8 p.m. to introduce his brand new film. So he's introducing it and then doing a Q&A post-screening.
Brilliant.
And I love being able to get film directors or filmmakers in general in to talk about their films. We haven't been able to do it much recently. We've done it in the past, and I think it adds a real buzz to screenings. And to have him come along and do that, he's just as excited as me. So awesome that Scott can be along for that.
Now, not a horror guy, I might come along to it, but if I'm the guy at the back like this for the whole thing, you'll understand, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you better get your tickets soon, actually, because we've already sold a huge amount. There's not many left, so if you're thinking about coming, then give us a call.
Okay, I'll just practice. Is it over? Is there a scary bit? Suspenseful music? I'm out.
This guy.
So, Dan, something I spotted on your website, and I got very excited because I was so excited when the movie came out, was the Batman from 1989 with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as the Joker, who was just fantastic. And I remember Danny Elfman did the theme, but Prince did the soundtrack for the movie. And I did have that soundtrack on cassette and played it in my car, Dan.
Amazing. Cassettes are making a comeback, right?
Yeah.
But I must say, I've got that on vinyl.
Even better.
That record. And even more, I bought it sort of recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I love that soundtrack. Look, that movie, the 89 Batman, did make a big impact on me. I was 12 when it came out, just giving my age away there. But Michael Keaton was incredible. Jack Nicholson was just as incredible. And their on-screen chemistry was amazing. Kim Basinger was in that film as Vicky Vale. It was a really big film at the time, and coupled with a huge artist like Prince. And they even call it in Wikipedia his 11th studio album. So they credit it as one of his albums in the sequence of his releases, and it's a movie soundtrack. So the reason we're showing that is just a couple of screenings on the weekend prior to the release of The Flash.
Yes.
And so, I'm pretty sure you know why.
Yeah, I'm excited about The Flash just because Michael Keaton is in it as Batman. And, it's really funny when you think about it too, because there was a lot of controversy about Michael Keaton being Batman because mainly he'd been in comedy movies. And everyone's going, how can Michael Keaton be Batman? But he turned out just to be so incredible. And I think that's when everybody realised Michael Keaton is a great actor. He's going to be in The Flash. His bits look absolutely fantastic from what I've seen in the trailer. I've heard there's some other things around Superman. I know Supergirl's in it and all these things. So I cannot wait to see The Flash. There's so much buzz about this movie, isn't there?
There is a lot of buzz. The industry talk, so what I'm hearing through like the back channels rather than out there in social media land is that it's incredible. And I'm not necessarily a huge superhero fan myself, but I'm quite intrigued because of the whole Michael Keaton angle. So there you go. I think nostalgia shows once again that it can really help drive people going to the cinema.
Dan, the Cannes Film Festival, a couple of things out of that. Johnny Depp, his French movie, and he got a standing ovation, and they're kind of talking this whole thing up as his big comeback, which is great. Harrison Ford, he got a standing ovation as well, and he got presented with an award there as well, and was in tears, which seeing Harrison Ford in tears is probably an unusual thing, I have to say. With great festivals, the French Film Festival, look, I've got to make a confession. Subtitles. I don't go to the movies to read, has always been my philosophy. I go to watch a great movie. So maybe, you know how we've talked about a challenge for me with the movies? So
Yep.
for the French Film Festival, here's the challenge. I want you to pick a film for me that you think I'd like to see, and I will go along and read it for you.
Okay, I mean, I feel like you are asking me to just give you a whole lot of movie passes so I can force you to see a whole lot of French
Well, there's a bit
film.
of that too, yeah.
Yeah, I think, as we have talked about before, you've touched on this just now, that it's, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's really great for people who love going and enjoying movies at the cinema to every now and then just sort of push themselves outside their comfort zone. So I think that's what you're asking me to do here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we can look at it. Look, the opening night is on the 15th of June, and we have the festival director, Fergus Grady. He's coming along to introduce the festival. He said he's just going to talk very briefly. So
Yeah.
that's really exciting because it's nice to have Fergus in town. And also we've got the fantastic Honest Chocolate who are going to have a little stall set up, and they're going to be selling their beautiful French hot chocolates and their other wares. And as part of the $25 ticket bundle, we're doing Clos Henri wine as part of that bundle, which is the nationwide French Film Festival sponsor. And Honest Chocolate Nico, who is French, of course, is going to be chucking in a chocolate bonbon as part of the package. That's going to be a really great event to come along to, and the film is The Masquerade. So that might be one to check out. Maybe not necessarily the opening night, Brent, if you want to avoid the masses of people that are coming along to that, because I know there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But it is playing through the festival as well. Jean Dujardin, I think I've pronounced it right. He actually made a bit of a name for himself in the wider, worldwide film industry when he played the lead in the film The Artist, which actually was the black and white film that won the Oscar 6 or 7 years ago, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
He's in a couple of films in the festival. So big names like that are often, I think, a draw for French Film Festival goers, or foreign film festivals for that matter, where they see a name who might be, someone who's actually known internationally.
Yeah, that's right.
They're from that country. Yeah, let's go and see that film. And the same for the Italian Film Festival. Name the other film festivals. But he is definitely one of those big names. I remember that Kristen Scott Thomas is actually in a film.
Oh.
Yeah, she's fluent in French. And I can't remember the name of the film. But what I'm doing is I'm dangling the carrot here, Brent.
Okay.
I'm throwing out some names that you might recognise.
Sure.
I'm also encouraging you to go and check out the website, and that is a fantastic way to have a look at the films you want to see. So I've got some homework for you.
Okay.
And that is, head to the Coming Soon page, check out the French Film Festival, and pick out a couple of films. Not just one.
Okay.
2.
All right. You want me to go to 2? Are there would there be a Star Wars movie perhaps from France, or an action movie? Car chases, helicopters, planes, something.
There is actually a fantastic film about the fire at Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm in.
and about the fire department that, took the call to get to Notre Dame. So
That sounds great.
Thriller, action,
Yep.
documentary. It looks fascinating, actually. So that would definitely be one to check out if you're wanting a little bit of visceral, French film. So, yeah.
Okay. You've sold it. Oui, je m'appelle Brent. That's it. Third form French. The New Zealand International Film Festival, last year in August, you had it here, which was just great to have it at Matakana Cinemas. And we're getting it this year as well.
And I've talked about it in the past. It was a real kind of labour of love for me to get that film festival here.
Yeah.
And big thanks to Sally and the team at the film festival, because we got it here last year. They were really happy with how it performed in the New Zealand market in general, but more specifically at Matakana, which made me really happy because, I felt there was quite a lot riding on it for us, because I really wanted to get it and keep it here. So yes, it is coming back for the second edition, so much so that we're actually making the festival longer here. And we did have to wait for what happened at Cannes so that we could see which films were the ones that the NZIFF actually want to start programming for the festival here.
Oh, okay.
So as one of the provincial cinemas in New Zealand, programming is going to be happening around mid-June. So when that has been released, we will have a much fairer idea of what's going to be playing.
Yeah.
Another film that we should touch on that came out of Cannes was a film called Killers of the Flower Moon. That's Martin Scorsese's new film, which releases in New Zealand cinemas in October. That's got Martin Scorsese's best little buddy, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Really fascinating story. Much like Oppenheimer, it's this behemoth of a film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even gone past 200 minutes. So,
Really?
This is a long film.
Wow.
Huge standing ovation for Scorsese at Cannes for that one. It won't be playing in the New Zealand International Film Festival because it's got a wide release later in the year, as my understanding, as my guess. But, who knows? Maybe it will. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing which films come out of Cannes and are dropped into the New Zealand International Film Festival. They've already talked about the short films they're going to be playing as part of the festival. There was an initial 5-film release as their sort of grand announcement for the NZIFF. One of those films, Past Lives, is one definitely to look out for, which will most likely be playing here as part of our program. I'm just kind of dropping hints here at the crew because we are yet to find out at this point, but I'm really excited over the next few days or the next few weeks about what films might be playing here in August.
So for me, Dan, with movies, there's a lot of big movies in my life. And when I worked in radio, one of the great things about being in the radio was we did screenings of movies that we got to take listeners along to long before the movie came out. Top Gun was the first movie screening I did at a radio station. Yep. And it was in the days where they had a movie on before they played the movie. You had to sit through all that, which we didn't think they'd have at a premiere, but they did. So everyone was kind of going, here's Top Gun, and then some documentary about snails came on or something. But anyway, that aside, when I first went to the movies, it was with my older brother, and we'd see Disney movies like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and things like that. The Wizard of Oz I saw, and I cried. He had to stand outside the cinema with me for 10 minutes. And told my mum I'm the most embarrassing kid he's ever been with, so that was great. But that's where my love of movies started. Then Star Wars was the big thing for me for going to the movies. And because of Star Wars and George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, I followed all that because I used to get science fiction magazines that I buy from the States about all the sci-fi movies. And, of course, they did features on Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I was really excited to see that. So when I saw that they're going to do Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and de-aging Harrison Ford in it, and the look of the movie reminds me a lot of Raiders of the Lost Ark because that's what I love about it, the way it looked and the way it was filmed. I think they've gone back to that. And when I was driving down the motorway a few days ago, I saw the Indiana Jones billboard with Harrison Ford on it, that old school way it looked on the original posters. And I was trying to think of the last time that I saw a billboard for a movie, honestly, when I'm driving up and down the motorway. So I think this is going to be an absolutely massive movie, isn't it?
Clearly the local marketing department thinks so, if they're putting the energy in to pop the billboards up. But it's interesting. I think there's another conversation there around physical marketing and that it's making a bit of a comeback. For sure, I really do concur with, the feels you're getting about the Indiana Jones franchise. They were big movies for me as a kid as well, same as Star Wars. I grew up, I was coming of age in the 80s, and that's, where a lot of these films really hit and made a massive splash. And I guess just by the fact that we're about to have the 5th film in 2023 shows the energy that a franchise like that has still, that it's a movie that the company felt like still could be made. But we're pretty sure, and Harrison Ford himself has said it, and look, let's be fair, he's in his 80s now, that it's going to be the last film he's done. And I think there's a lot with that as well. And I like the symmetry of film number 5 being his last film. Look, I'm really excited about it. And one thing that I think really, really is going for this film is that it's multi-generational. So, we're growing up. So, we're young adults, and we really enjoyed those films as kids, but there's going to be grandparents who are going to want to see this film because they've seen the other ones and they grew up with them. They were probably parents of young children when they came out. There's going to be the parents now who were kids then. And then there's our kids who have seen the films because we've made them watch them.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out at the end of June in New Zealand, and seriously, the anticipation's really high. I mean, it's probably not going to be the biggest film of the year, but it's going to be right in the mix, top 5, top 10 films.
Yeah, I think so. And it's got a lot of the original cast members in there, so I'm looking forward to that. And they released the last official trailer that gives you a bit more, and it just looks so good. It looks like that great Indiana Jones adventure, him on a horse riding through the streets, all these kind of things that hark back to the way that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg thought about putting the movies together based on, westerns and things that they'd seen growing up in adventure movies. So, yeah, I think that's going to be good. And you're doing a special members-only screening, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. So for the membership for Matakana Cinemas, which we launched pretty recently, if you're a green member, that is the green membership card, not green in the face like an alien or something. Yeah. I'm thinking about the last Indiana Jones film. There were aliens in that one.
There was.
So there is the opportunity to come and see the film the night before it actually releases in New Zealand as part of our membership-only screening. So that's on Wednesday, June the 28th. So yes, you do have to be a paid member, but these are the perks of becoming one of those.
It's a great initiative, and I get to go to the movies free on my birthday, so I've got to get in before July 30th.
Yes.
That's just a hint, July 30th, my birthday, just for anybody that's, no gifts. Maybe Dan, extra Jaffas on my birthday as well, or...
Brent, don't worry, I will totally sort you out, no problem.
That wasn't in the membership plan, but I've just added another layer for them. New Zealand seems to do this a lot, preview screenings, sneak screenings, premieres, more than the rest of the world did. So how come we did that here in New Zealand? Is there any reasoning behind that, or...?
Look, I can't speak for the overseas markets because I'm not really up with the play on whether that's a release strategy by the studios. They're called PPVs in the sort of industry
It's
speak.
got a title.
Yeah. So essentially that means advanced screenings or preview screenings, right? Mm-hmm. So we have sneak screenings is another sort of jargon for it, which you might, our listeners or watchers might see on our website. Mm-hmm. Sneak screening, where a film releases on a certain date, but we show the weekend prior, or even in some cases a couple of weeks prior or weekends prior, some advanced screenings, sneak screening, night before screening. So if we think about those preview screenings, the logic behind that is that when you release a film on a certain date as a distributor, you're confident you've got a good film on your hands, but you want people to see it early so that by the time it actually releases, the word of mouth has started trickling out. So the people who went to see the advanced screenings, let's say 30 people went to see a screening, they go back and they see their friends, they talk on social media and they say, we saw this film, it was fantastic. And then other people go, oh, wow, okay, I hadn't heard about it, or I've heard about it and I do want to see it, but you've seen it, what was it like? And then there might be a conversation around that. I think you still got to have a bit of confidence that that film is strong enough to play an advanced screening. Yeah. But it might often be the case with a weekend before screening where you are really trying to show the audience that you've got a really good little film on your hands, but it mightn't be a mega blockbuster like Barbie or Mission Impossible. Right. Those films, they just need to release on their release date. Everyone, the awareness is out there. Yeah. It's got Tom Cruise or it's Barbie. You don't really need to do advanced screenings necessarily because it's not really about word of mouth. Everyone already knows about it. Yeah. But what you might find with films like that is there is a night before screening, and what you're trying to do as a distributor there is you're trying to get the super fans in the night before because you know they're going to get it. And really what it comes down to is just getting more box office through. Right. So you have an advanced screening. You know that people who are super fans are going to come out on a weeknight and see it. And then by the time you hit the next day, opening date, which is Thursday in New Zealand, and that coming weekend, you know that the weekend box office is going to kind of look after itself. But you just give those people that chance to see it slightly before and to start talking about it. So as a cinema owner, are you allowed to do that, or do you have to do it in conjunction with the distributors? So it's put to us by the distributors through the release schedule. Yeah. So we'll get a print offer originally for a film. I think we've talked print offers in the past, where I might get a print offer a couple of months out from a film's release. So just as a quick little segue, I'm already looking at August and September now. Oh, okay. Yeah. So most of June and July is booked for the cinema. But then you might get a follow-up email that says we've now added PPVs. And that's probably because the studio is starting to get a little bit more buzz about the film and hear a little bit more, because just like us, you know, once a film's made, it takes a while for it to get down to the marketing departments. You know, obviously the production team is the first one to know about it, and the actors, because they've made the film. Then the editing happens, then there's the finished product, and then the studio heads will see it, and then of course it's out to the rest of the departments. So once that happens and marketing strategies sort of set upon, and they want to show as part of the marketing strategy early screenings, then that will come from the distributor. So we could ask if we want to show a screening early, and I have on occasion done that, but usually that's coming from the distributor of the film.
And is this the same for midnight screenings, or is that because it's at midnight it's going over to the official date you can do it? Is that something they encourage for a big movie?
Yeah, technically the release date is 1 past midnight, right?
Yeah,
for the new day. It's a good question actually, Brent, because it's actually made me go, we haven't done a midnight screening for ages. I remember doing midnight screenings for the last 2 Harry Potter films, which were, was split into 2 films. And we had to interlock the 35mm film, which is you actually play it in one cinema and you run the film on reels across the ceiling of the projection room into the second projector.
Okay.
So that you can actually play it across 2 cinemas. And there's a slight sort of 30-second lag between the 2 cinemas. But my point being is that we did do midnight screenings. We did one for Force Awakens, and we got incredible turnouts.
Yeah, I went to a midnight screening of Force Awakens.
Yeah. Then COVID hit, and there just wasn't the big films out there to do midnight screenings. I mean, I guess we could start considering that now that the big films are coming back online.
I'll be into a midnight screening of Indiana Jones or anything like that anytime.
No, it's you've really got me thinking, Brent. The only thing is, I'm a parent of young children, and staying awake till midnight, let alone through to 2 a.m. in the morning, is a bit more difficult. We'll have to try and find someone who can look after that for us.
Just get a babysitter, sleep in.
Actually, we did this incredible stunt. I mean, sorry, but I've got to mention this. 2015, when Force Awakens released, we actually decided that from the midnight screening on Wednesday night or 12:01 Thursday morning, we would play the film non-stop until Sunday night. So we were actually playing it at 6 p.m., 9 p.m., midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. for 4 days.
Oh, okay.
And we had no one turn up for the 3 a.m. screening until my night. We had 4 different staff doing the 4 nights until my night, which was the Sunday 3 a.m. session.
Yeah.
And I thought, no one's going to turn up. I can probably have a little nap. And one of the lazy boys. And at 2 minutes to 3, 6 people walked in the door.
Brilliant.
But
playing gone.
Yeah, I think we were the only cinema in the world that actually did that. And actually, shout out to Michael Putlak, who used to work for us, who's from Colorado. It was his crazy, zany idea, and we actually went ahead and did it.
Okay, well, let's bring that back, a 3 a.m. screening. I think that's what you need.
Let's talk midnight screenings as a starting point.
Yep.
Maybe 3 a.m. screenings at some point.
Okay, Dan, so July school holidays. Obviously, there's the American summer too, where they release all their movies. So is it looking pretty full on for July?
It just piggybacks off this incredible, raft of releases coming out in June, which we've talked about a lot. Yeah. Indiana Jones, of course.
Yeah.
Is one of the big ones. We've got the incredible Spider-Man film, which has already opened, but I think that really is going to continue to play through the school holidays. This is one of the best films of the year, is what people are saying. Yeah. We've also got, the first one I can think of is Koko Reo Māori, and that's a really little film that is making a big statement, much like Disney have done with Frozen.
Right.
They have a completely new voice cast to redo the movie in Reo Māori, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fantastic initiative from Disney. So that's playing on select sessions from the 13th of July for the school holidays. Yeah. We also have on the 13th of July a slightly bigger film, which is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Oh, man, the trailer for that's incredible. I mean, to me, Tom Cruise can do no wrong at the moment, and it just looks like one of those great Mission Impossible films, and you'd watch it just for the motorbike going off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, look, Top Gun Maverick was an absolute phenomenon, and to be completely frank, it kind of saved cinema.
Yeah.
It was a huge film. I think the general public cannot underestimate how much the decision by one person, Tom Cruise, to not let that film go to streaming had ripple effect through the industry. And what effect does the success of Top Gun Maverick have on a film like Dead Reckoning. We know that the Mission Impossible films have been going for 25 years.
Long time, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
And they are a very popular franchise. But how big is this film going to be based on the success of Top Gun Maverick? I almost think it's going to help drive this film to overperform. That's kind of my gut feeling on it. And look, it's going to perform really well anyway. So
And it's a part one.
it's a part one. And I think Christopher McQuarrie, the director, he wanted some extreme runtime on it. And then I think the studio heads in, you just got to cut a bit out of there. So it's still going to be a pretty long film. I think it's in the vicinity of 145 minutes, which is still a good runtime. But it's nothing like the runtime we're hearing for Oppenheimer, which releases on the 20th. And I think Christopher Nolan anecdotally said the other day, it's kissing 3 hours. So... yeah, expect a bit of a beast from Christopher Nolan. We know that it's going to be one of those films that the fans of his movies are going to want to get and see. Christopher Nolan films are always event films.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of doing the Dunkirk thing again, right? Where he's going back to history rather than out of his big brain, you know, where he's coming up with these incredible stories like Tenet and Inception. Yeah. I feel like that helps the cause of the film as well. I think there's some real interest in a historical story with that Christopher Nolan twist. It's going to be fascinating to see how his practical effects roll out in this one because, like all you know, people who are really into explosives as kids, little boys and little girls who love blowing up things, they're probably going to want to come and see this movie.
It does. It looks really good. It's Cillian Murphy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
He's a great actor. I think Matt Damon's in it as well from memory.
I think he is,
Yeah, great cast. So I can't wait to see that. So have we got Barbie?
We do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Oppenheimer releases on July the 20th on the same day as Barbie. I mean, two very different films. What I'm kind of intrigued by is that Barbie, it's a little bit hard to get a read on. What's the target audience for that film at the moment? I think having Greta Gerwig direct it and Noah Baumbach, who's her partner, who's also written a lot with Wes Anderson, gives us a little bit of a clue as to what the direction of this film might be. Of course, Greta Gerwig directed Little Women, and she directed the remake of Little Women, and she directed Lady Bird. Films that are coming of age, they tend to lean a little bit more to an older audience. Yeah. But Barbie is, on the surface, a kids' movie, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see how that film plays out. My guess is it's going to be a PG and it's going to appeal to a very broad audience. Right. I know from working at the box office here how excited people are for that film. Look, I think there's going to be a lot of people wanting to come to see that film. Of course, how good it is will have a huge influence on how long it plays out. Right. But if you look at the cast, which is huge, and you look at Greta Gerwig's incredible track record for making great films, and Noah Baumbach as a writer, I think this film is going to really, really go well.
Yeah, because I'm just intrigued to see what it's about. Because as you say, like who's it kind of aimed at?
Yeah.
And so I think that factor alone will get you along to watch it.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about films that are sort of sitting in that M rating thing: Transformers, Dial of Destiny, Mission Impossible. But you've got to always have something for those little kids, right?
Yeah, sure.
You need a G.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone loves a G film. All the parents love a G film, especially when the runtime is about 80 minutes.
Yep.
And a little film that we should touch on is Cats in the Museum. It releases at the back end of June. Yeah, Cats in the Museum. I mean, it
Perfect title.
It says it on the box. Yeah. But
is it about cats in the museum, Dan?
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. It's from the character designer of Secret Life of Pets.
Oh, brilliant.
You know, so you're going to get that kind of look from the film,
which is great.
Nice 80-minute runtime, G-rated. It's going to be perfect for the parents who want to get their kids to the movies during the holidays and are just wanting a really, really sweet, safe, fun watch.
Cats in the museum. They end up being at a zoo. Something like that. No.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Maybe it's a trick title.
I have a funny feeling that there might be another film from those filmmakers called Dogs in the Museum.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah. And then ferrets, it could be a whole series. It'll be brilliant.
Sequel after sequel, yeah. Exciting times.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about over the last, probably since the start of our podcast, you know, the first one talking about COVID and the effects it had on cinema, is that for a long time, and if I use a more recent example, go back to the summer holidays when we had Avatar, and then it was off the cliff, you know, before there was the next film that people wanted to see. At exactly the time of year when people are time rich, they're on holiday. Let's go see Avatar. What's next?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go and see Avatar again.
Yeah.
But what's really encouraging is that we're actually starting to see that calendar filling up again, where there used to be quite big gaps between the big films. And to be honest, in our industry, we've got to have big films. I'm more of an indie film fan at heart.
Yeah.
I love to show them at the cinema. I will always program them in.
Yes.
But as a business model, you can't survive on art house titles alone.
Yeah, right.
So having big blockbuster films is hugely important to the way, especially an independent cinema like ours, works. You know, we can branch out and play those indie films, but at the end of the day, to keep the bills paid, we've got to have the big films.
Yeah.
And look, it's fantastic, the lineup we've got through June playing out into the July school holidays, and a lot of those films will roll over. So the way it looks at the moment, with the holdover films being the films that are already playing, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
We've got Transformers opening on the 22nd of June. And of course, the film that you and I have been talking about nonstop, Indiana Jones and The Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
But with that lineup and, you know, week after week after week, big film after big film, I mean, it does cause a few little sort of heart palpitations around actually trying to program them all in.
Right.
I'll make it work.
Yeah,
And it's just exciting that when you look at the lineup through June and July, that for me, even not being necessarily a huge blockbuster fan, I'm really excited about that sort of 8-week stretch where there's at least 8 films that I would come and see. And that, as a cinema owner, is exciting. But I think more importantly, it's exciting for people who, you know, pay to come and see movies.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we need to have films that draw people to the cinema. And it looks like we've got that.
Yeah. And I think that's good. And it's good as a cinema guy, as we mentioned, that you've got something else to look forward to.
Absolutely.
And you can plan out, you know, a whole month's worth of going to the movies, which is great.
Go and watch Indiana Jones and see the trailer for Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Go and see Mission Impossible, and there's the trailer for Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I want to see that. It has a real flow-on effect.
Oh.
So, yeah, really excited by that.
That's brilliant. Right. I'll get my Jaffers order in. It's going to be huge. Okay, so that wraps up episode 10 of The Film Man and the Film Fan. So we've got some presents to open, some films to watch, and some cake to eat, Dan.
Bust out that lightsaber because that is the perfect cake knife.
Oh, yeah.